All right. Everything's coming through fantastic. So, everyone, hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. We truly do appreciate it. My name is Paul Vandergrift. I'm a part of the Loyalsnap team. I have Michelle here with me as well. We represent Loyalsnap. We also have the CEO of Prosper, Erica Wasser, here with us. And then we've got Zane from Apex Wellness and Darby from Club Pilates. Just really quick, if we can, just go around the room here. Give us a sentence about what you do and who you represent, and then we'll get everything kicked off. Erica, let's start with you.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm Erica Wasser. I am the co-founder and CEO of Prosper. And pre-Prosper, I was an operator just like you guys, pulling my hair out every day, trying to manage multi-unit, going, why does nobody seem to know what's going on at the ground? And getting hit constantly with, I don't know, nobody told me, I don't know where to find that. And the idea of scaling on that kind of foundation was frankly impossible. And so ended up coming up with solutions to make running studio businesses significantly not only more successful, but a lot more enjoyable.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you for being here, Erica. Darby, how about you? Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so I am the general manager of Club Pilates in Wellington, Florida. We are part of a franchise, but we are locally owned and we solely run this particular location. We do use both Prosper and Loyalsnap, and I am a diehard of both of these platforms. So really excited to be able to share our experience and how it's made our systems and operations and team communication and client communication just run much smoother from the back end and the front end.
I'd also
Fantastic.
like to shout
Thank you,
out
Darby.
Darby's background. She didn't pick one entering the system. She just was like, this is real life. I'm in a closet, aka office, wherever I am to sneak in this call while the studio life is running. So
Yes. So I will be muted so that you guys don't hear everything when I'm not talking. But yes, this is full on real life over here.
In the studio.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's awesome. That's great. Zane, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother, for those who don't know.
Hey guys, I'm Zane DeFerdinando. I'm one of the owners of Apex Wellness Group. We are one of the largest F45 franchises in the world. We own and manage 56 locations US-wide. Little bit about our background. I started as a single unit operator. We scaled to a quite big business within about a 2-year period. From this, we started end of 2023. To now where we're at. So I know all the growing pains of being a single unit operator and how hard that was at that setting. But we integrated all of these systems, Prosper and Loyalsnap, in our journey pretty early on in the way, and that helped us get from obviously where we were. Honestly, we wouldn't be where we are today without these two systems because they're two vital parts of it. And basically our whole business operates out of it. So I've been through the thick of the weeds down at the bottom side, running a single unit, and all the way up to having 56 locations. And these systems are definitely our lifeline. So don't ever turn offline. Otherwise we won't be going anywhere. So
Fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. Man, from 1 to 50 is a pretty big deal, and I feel like there are lots of people in the audience who have the same aspiration. So we've got some questions for you too, Zane. Hope you're ready. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
all right, here I am, a Loyalsnap user to then a Loyalsnap employee, about to celebrate 5 years here. But I work with brands and, from large multi-unit to small individual studio owners, just help run a better business. And so, by implementing Loyalsnap, we figure out where their marketing needs are as well as their operational, because, while there's things running in the background for Loyalsnap that can automate and make your life easier, you definitely need to do the work too. And it's just making that easier for you and your teams. Our founder says no one opens a fitness studio because they love sales and marketing, and that's why we're here. That's why our platform exists. So I see some questions in the chat. I'll be moderating and I'll be calling out in case there's questions here, but I'm looking forward to hearing what this group has to say. Paul, what about you?
Fantastic. Well, I am the host that apparently is suspended in the sky. I've been at Loyalsnap now for just over 2 years, And I'm also the co-owner of a boxing gym in Raleigh, North Carolina called Knuckle Up Boxing and Fitness. Please add us on Instagram and, like the post and comment on anything that you see. As you all know, the more engagement we get on social media, the better things go for our studios. I've been in software for about 10 years, but specifically with sales and with marketing. So hopefully today you all get a little bit of what we all have to offer and can take it, put it into play as soon as you get off of this meeting and see some results. So let's get started, okay? So today is all about stealing the systems at scale, okay? And one of the things that I think about when I think about the success of Zane and what he's done and what Darby is able to do at her studios, and of course, all the clients that use Prosper and Loyalsnap, is what is true productivity, right? It isn't necessarily just getting a task done, but it is truly getting to the outcome that we desire in the most efficient way. Because Lord knows, I've got someone sitting at the front desk, and a long time ago they used to send a bunch of text messages, but that didn't mean that people came into the studio. So are they truly productive, right? We maybe printed out some SOPs, maybe sometimes they got done, but is that true production? So that's what we are working on today, and we want to get Zane and Darby to talk about. If work only happens when someone remembers something, are we going to be as productive as we can be? And then if we do get someone to do the right thing, how have we figured out what that right thing is to make sure we're getting to the outcomes that we are looking to achieve? Okay, so let's start actually. Zane and Darby, I hope you're ready. This is, tell me a little bit about your studio before some of the platforms that we have here today for 500, so to speak. But I'll start with you, Darby, if you don't mind. Thinking about Prosper for a bit, before you started to use it, what do you feel you were struggling with internally with your employees the most?
Yeah, absolutely. So in relationship to Prosper specifically, we used another app, very well known, strictly for messaging. And we probably had 2 or 3 studio specific group chats, one for our instructors, one for our sales team, one for the entire studio as a whole. And oftentimes I actually felt like I was the one having to constantly scroll back between conversations because numerous conversations were happening in each of these different areas. Everyone was actually a part of each of these in case somebody needed to reference something, even if it wasn't pertinent or important information for them to be aware of. So I just felt like it was always going off. The chat was always going off. And I was constantly having to feel like, was this meant for me? Was this meant for someone else? As the GM, I naturally just have my hand kind of mixed into all of the different pots anyway. So I was having to be on 24/7 to keep up with the conversations, to make sure that I wasn't dropping the ball or forgetting something, or I was just aware of what essentially was happening. So beforehand, it was just a lot of different conversations happening in multiple different ways. And I felt like it was very easy to lose track of who needed what done unless I built something else on my end to try to navigate that.
Darby, quick question, because I think all of us as operators and owners of studios, there are many internal conversations that are being had between employees. What's one that comes top of mind to you that was just a struggle before Prosper?
Yeah, so probably coordinating private sessions because it is we are mostly group focused here, group class. But we do also offer private sessions, and we have trial and error come to a system that now works, where we will coordinate with a particular instructor based on availability. That tends to work better for us with where we're at. But prior to this, it was going out to a general instructor group chat of who would be interested in taking this, and that was really difficult to navigate because I have an assistant general manager who was in charge of managing all of those, and so navigating those conversations with one instructor in particular, but it being open up to the entire studio at that point, just became a little bit tedious of going back and forth with one person in a giant group chat. But then doing it individually, we may not have the eyes on it that also needed to be there for front desk being able to schedule it and things of that nature. So private session scheduling was particularly difficult prior to bringing on Prosper.
Okay, I appreciate that context. I mean, there's a lot of different studios represented here in the audience. If you sort of struggle getting private sessions scheduled or changing people's schedules, again, with your internal employees, put something in the chat. Don't worry, we are going to show off what some of these systems look like towards the end, so you will be able to see a little bit of that. Zane, let me kick the question, the same one, right over to you. I mean, prior to Prosper, what was an internal sort of thing that was breaking down most often?
Where does my list begin? I guess I could start with that. I think, like I met Eric and we got introduced there through some friends of ours which owned some sweat house studios, and they basically made that intro to us because they owned a few F45s, and we, up until that point, like, we basically had, WhatsApp, Slack, we had a rostering service, we had probably 3 to 5, we had monday.com, we had all these different overall structures, like we were running these different operations to help. Basically what we thought in the time was like smooth operation of what was getting done, but there was just no, as we continued to scale, because we went to like 18 studios very quickly in the first year, and that all of those operational like breakdowns happened very, very quickly, and the communication side of it was very hard, because you had your WhatsApp chats and things, as to what Darby said there, people in all these different group chats. Basically, by integrating Prosper from the first side, we put all of those systems into one place. And obviously, I know you guys will share it soon, but having rosters in the one spot, having a big one for us, and a pain point was maintenance. Obviously, with gyms and like what we operate, there's lots of little pieces of equipment throughout these, and when you've got studios located all over the country, things break every single day. So we had they have a ticketing system, which you would think is the simplest thought process in the world. And I was like, wow, this is literally going to save us. So like, it's just all of those small little add-ons that coming together, like we don't have any of those continuity issues anymore. Like as a company, and as we've continued to scale, it's grown with us, and it's helped us down all those lines. So
Zane, if you can you give us maybe just a real life example of struggling with that before Prosper? Just something in the studio, please.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, like I'm based in New York. Bunch of our studios are out in Dallas and Texas, and it could be the HVAC's broken in the studio, and I'm over here on the other side of the country. The person who's running the studios trying to contact the operations manager, they're texting them, that person's calling someone else, versus now it's literally a simple matter of that manager opening up their app or going on their site and just putting in a ticket, critical request, boom. It's notified to all the people in the operations team, and it's caught like that, versus going around the rabbit chases, who's going to contact this person, who's going to do it, and where's the actual issue.
Zine, someone asked in the Q&A, how long did it take to transition to all of these systems to Prosper? And the transition period, and then Erica, you can talk about from your side too, but, and then like team adoption, what does that look like?
So we moved everything last year in around August, and it actually came, we were purchasing a pack of acquiring 12 locations at the time, and obviously going from 18 to 30 locations in one hit is obviously a pretty big task at hand, and those 12 studios in themselves had an entire other operation model that they were falling through. So we kind of thought, it's going to be a lot of work, but this is probably the time to do it. But in reality of it, obviously to what Erica will probably talk to, they went through and helped us pretty much build the vast majority. We got there in a month's time. So moving around 250 to 300 people, getting them adapted to it, going through the training, they provided all the steps and stuff that we needed, and basically building it in line with what we operated like. It honestly didn't take more than a month. And after that, it was pretty seamless.
Awesome. Appreciate that. I got another question really quick. So again, before something like Prosper, and Darby, I'm going to kick this to you next, right? What was a process that you had to always step in and kind of fix before you started using a tool like Prosper for organizing your employees or whatever it may be?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You going to go, Darby? Yeah, oh, sorry. So something like that was simply, we were using another rostering service. We, in that point in time, were having to go into that rostering service when it came to payroll time, and then we would have MindBody as our operating system that we function out of, and cross-check like class counts versus this. And as you can imagine, with that many people, it would take probably 10 hours on on a Monday to do payroll versus now it's an exact reflection of what's got, like we're built it accordingly, and we're not having to double check it anymore because of the features that they've got with the auto clock in, clock out, stuff like that. We actually know that the people were there at the studio versus before we would have to actually double check. Did this person actually go to the studio and work at that time? So we were checking class schedules to be like, Michelle and Paul both worked at 8 a.m. And so we would have to go double back. This other rostering service didn't provide it. It was sheerly just like you log on to that system. There was a lot of cross-pollination. We had to go backwards and forwards to work out what we were trying to get.
That's awesome. What about you, Darby?
Yeah, I would say for employee management, particularly with our sales team, just getting them to remember just the nitty gritty, more tedious studio functions, having to remember not only reaching out to new clients, but member milestones, because client and community is super, super important to my heart and the heart of Club Pilates in general. And so having to constantly navigate and filter between who's physically there in person, who they're messaging online, keeping up with the studio if supplies are delivered, making sure that they're appropriately restocked. So kind of streamlining that into one system. We actually just ended up having to use a Google Doc system at one point just so I could list everything top to bottom. Occasionally, some of the sales associates would forget exactly how to maneuver, where they were going for a particular reference or document. And so the joint missions in particular really helped to streamline that process. So now every day they go in, they know exactly what we're asking of them to do on a standard cadence. And there's really no more having to those more tedious tasks are kind of just laid out for them so they can really focus more on the quality of the conversations and who's in the studio with them and phone calls and things of that such.
Awesome. I appreciate giving some color on that. Now, I did see this here. Courtney, I wanted to call this out. Thank you for being transparent. You said, hey, I thought this was about scaling our system. I didn't realize this was a sales presentation. One thing that we want to make sure that we do is give people the opportunity to know that they aren't struggling alone with some of their problems, right? There are some people in here that do struggle figuring out if people are actually working the amount of hours that they work. That is something that I actually struggle with, right? So, or scheduling for PTs and getting new classes scheduled or switching people's schedules. So we want to make sure that you all know that even though Darby and Zane have a lot of great success, there are things that they have struggled with or maybe still do struggle with, and we're going to get into the platform and show what that looks like too. And of course, we're going to dig into scaling with Loyalsnap as well with some actionable insights. So I appreciate that, Courtney. Stay tuned. We're going to keep rolling with this, and you're going to get some of that information that you want. Erica, is there anything you want to add hearing some of these things?
I mean, first off, I'm just so thrilled that we're able to be as helpful as we are. And I think the biggest piece is that it's been a true partnership with Zane and his team, Darby and her team, and Prosper. So as much as we help, really, you guys have taken the ball and run with it. And I think really where teams are successful on Prosper is when they have a really strong idea of how they want to use it, right? So you guys came to us and said, these are the outcomes that I want to have, right? And then we're able to show you how to get them. But it's really about you as a studio owner having strong opinions on exactly what it is that you want. Because once you say, hey, I want my front desk to come in and go, and I want every location to scale consistently with these sets of resources and these sets of tooling, or these are the rules that I want to have in my business, then we can show you how to get those outcomes in Prosper and Loyalsnap. But it really came from you guys being pretty headstrong of what you wanted. And that's changed the game on how we're able to give you what you need.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's, before we get into the actual platform for Prosper, because we're going to get into platform and Loyalsnap towards the end here, so we appreciate you all. Let's talk a little bit about Loyalsnap. I think first, let's try out this poll tool here. It looks like only 6 people voted on the last poll. Do you struggle with scheduling and rescheduling your studio's employees for different classes or PT sessions? And it looks like 86% of you feel like, no, that is not an issue. So that's some good news. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I am curious, with 65 of us in here, how many people are using Loyalsnap? If you are, click yes. If not, click no, because that is going to inform a little bit of the direction we take some of the things we're going to talk about in scaling. While you all answer this question here, okay, or excuse me, on the poll, I have to ask Darby, I'll kick it back to you, then back to you, Zane. With Loyalsnap, right, I guess the first thing that I tend to think about is, what do you feel has impacted the business the most with that sort of tool, being Loyalsnap? Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Loyalsnap in particular, I think, has helped to really automate some of the text messages that go out to our initial leads that come in. As I'm sure most studio owners or GMs are aware, you can send out 100, 200 text emails, make phone calls, and you may get a handful of them actually come back. And so I really love that Loyalsnap has automated all of those initial touch points for us. So like I mentioned earlier, my sales team in particular now can really focus on the quality of the conversation that we're holding with the people who are interacting with us or communicating back with us. So we know that we're catching them the second they come into our system. Loyalsnap is sending out a text and an email to them, automatically reaching out to them at their preferred time when we know that they're already on the phone, which is great. And then we're able to really hone in on those people that are wanting to converse with us and not just necessarily reaching out with no end game in sight.
Right.
So that's really helped my sales team to feel more confident in holding conversations, creating real relationships with people, and holding, like I said, just higher quality conversations. So we're not wasting manpower on making calls that unfortunately clients aren't responding to or aren't picking up, which, you know, it may be little, but it does add up in terms of time and manpower actually needed to execute all of those things. And so I love that Loyalsnap has really just automated that initial funnel for us so we can really focus on what matters, in my opinion, of holding those true high quality conversations.
Darby, may I ask, kind of what's the makeup of your front desk or your management team? So are you doing a lot of it? Is your front desk, you know, who's doing these things, and what would you kind of recommend as like the core group of people to kind of run a successful studio?
Yeah, so we have a very mighty but very small team. So my sales team comprises of 5 people, 3 front desk sales associates, myself as the GM, and then my assistant general manager, which actually may be more compared to some studios. So all of our sales associates do work the front desk. So they're the ones with the initial touch point with all of the clients or members, talking to members in between classes. They are kind of the initial face of the studio. Because of Loyalsnap, actually, I have been able to take a step back and not have to be as involved in that initial touch point process, which has freed up a lot of my time to be able to do more things, focusing on running the business, working the back end, taking care of client or initial interest questions that might require a little bit more of the heavy lifting. And so in terms of that makeup, we try to have a sales associate present for most of our classes, just because I do think presence is important. But because of Loyalsnap, that's actually also made it easier that if someone's sick or someone calls out, like, we know that it's still working on the back end for us, and our entire studio isn't going to fall apart in one day because someone wasn't able to come in that day. So yeah, it's really freed up some of my time as the GM to be able to focus on what I need to focus on, but improving those conversations and those initial touch points on their end.
Awesome. Really quick, everyone, please go to the polls. We've got a couple questions here. How many people are using Loyalsnap of the 60 plus that are here? And then how many of you are using Loyalsnap's automations, right? Even though you're using the platform, are you using what Darby just talked about, right? She said the automations are there helping when people in real life aren't available to be quick to respond or to initially reach out to the leads that we all work so hard to get, right? So please go on that poll. Tell us if you do use the automations or if not, and if you're using Loyalsnap or if you aren't. Zane, I'll kick it to you, brother. What is it about Loyalsnap that you feel on a studio by studio basis has affected you and your team the most?
Yeah, I think we run a bit of a unique model across ours, and it's not one size fits all across. So like it kind of it answers a couple of your questions there with regards to automations and how Loyalsnap is kind of being used, affecting us on a studio by studio basis. You know, we may have some locations throughout the country where the studio manager is also the salesperson. So in some setups there, they're utilizing the automations, and they're utilizing a lot more of that, you know, sidekick from Loyalsnap to be able to assist them, because they're coaching a bunch of classes and stuff as well, and they're not always available on that side of it. So it becomes more of an autonomous sales CRM for them to be able to go into and function their day to day. But then in a vast majority of our studios, we also run a remote salesperson. So it's someone here based in the country, but they're looking over 3 to 5 locations at a time. And they are really like, this is their full-time role. This is what they do. They take care of sales. So their automations may be minimized a little bit more, focused on maybe a new client as soon as they come in, but they are really hand-holding that process through booking the person in, contacting them, and using the overall features of it as a studio by studio basis. So we kind of utilize it on every single aspect of it, and it's not just a tool that's like, hey, this is great, it's automations, it does all that, awesome, which it does do, but you don't just have to use it like that either. It can be used as like a traditional sales CRM as well, which it does all of that for us, and it definitely helps looking back on a studio by studio basis, because of the way obviously the dashboard's being built and the lead flow and the sales funnel and how it's got it land on their side. It's a pretty easy way to figure out what you're meant to be doing. You know, the trials fall into what the categories they're meant to go into, the buckets, and it makes it very easy on that side as well.
Now, I'm curious for both of you, Zane and Darby, since so many people here are Loyalsnap users. What is an aspect of Loyalsnap that you didn't feel that you knew much about or you didn't utilize, but now that you are using it, it has created a positive effect for the business? Darby, I'll start with you.
That's a good question. I'll be honest. I am someone that when I introduce a new platform or a new system, I dive as far deep into the platform as possible. Like, I will absorb everything possible. I definitely had a lot of questions on the front end as to how to navigate the automations or some of the dashboard categories to best fit what we needed as a studio. So the Club Pilates model does include a free first intro class. So making Loyalsnap fit that particular booking opportunity for us. I was able to actually work with Michelle and some of the other team members to really make it fit what we're looking for in terms of getting people in, how soon we need to be following up with them, what are the requirements for classes, things of that nature. So all of those questions that I did had were answered very, very nicely and professionally, and they were able to really make those adjustments for us just to really match what my heart is for the studio. So if there was anything that I was hesitant on, it was fixed pretty soon after. I wouldn't say that I had to struggle for too terribly long. It was a pretty quick, easy transition into being able to just kind of make it fit what we were looking for.
Zane, what about you? Again, a tool or an aspect that you didn't really use much of, but now that you're aware of it, it has positively affected your locations.
Yeah, I think not really much of aware of. We were always across it, but I think the biggest tool that I can genuinely say has changed the game for us was the click to call function. The click to call function, we had a massive just overview of like output from sales perspective, from like the amount of calls and contact attempts and the things that they were finding. They're just a much more successful connection ratio. Like, they can get onto way more trialers, they can speak to more people. It's obviously a lot easier than sitting there and constantly dialing I got the number wrong and I'm doing it. I think that for us as a collective, because when it first came out, a lot of the team didn't really use it because they were just so used to using their own phone and doing it. And then now they've all switched over to it and are actually functioning with it on a day-to-day basis. It has been a big game changer, and also just the reverse side of that, because when people actually call that number, it comes back through. So that was always a really big one, because again, as to maybe all the other studio owners in here using Loyalsnap or some other sort of feature, usually they have like a studio phone, and then maybe their salesperson might be calling from a different number. That's always the hard part, is because people then call the studio back, but then it goes potentially to the wrong person. So that for us was a massive game changer, especially like with the size of it. I wish we'd had it really, a long time ago. The overall pickup contact rate, and even it's not about just converting people, finding out whether a lead's actually good or bad. It definitely just helped being able to close that loop earlier versus waiting a long time to get it all done. So that was a really big game changer for us as a company.
Michelle put a link in the chat here. If you're curious about Click to Call, how it works, what it does, click that link. It is a way for you to be calling via Loyalsnap to these leads. So click that link, send us an email at hello@loyalsnap.com, and you might want to upgrade so you can use that too. All right, so let's do a thing here. We're going to change the pace. Right. I want to get into these platforms and some of the things that Zane and Darby have actually pointed out that have helped scale their businesses. Okay. So Courtney, I hope you're still here. This is where we put our seatbelts on and drive the car a bit. So Erica, if you don't mind, if you can show a little bit of Prosper here and some of the tasking solutions that would help a multi-studio owner or maybe someone just like me with one.
Absolutely. Paul, as you showed me how to do this the other day. This is the first time that I'm mirroring my phone on my computer. I have never
There we
felt
go.
better in my life.
We're here together. We can do it together.
Okay. And Darby, Zane, if there's things you love that I leave out here, please feel free to add on. So Prosper is mobile first.
Oh, and real quick, Erica, do you mind doing me one favor?
Tell me.
Just minimize your screen there. There we go. Bring that to the center.
Okay.
Perfect. That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Great background,
So
too.
Prosper is mobile first. Most of your team members are going to use Prosper on their phone. You can also utilize it in tablet and desktop. Darby, Zane, do you feel like most of your team is using the app?
Yes.
Yes, from employees' side. My side,
Yeah.
definitely more computer, but their side, certainly.
Cool. And we can definitely show desktop as well. But you can kind of see, I get to see my shift. I can see any notes that have been left for me. I need to break from 8:30 to 9. I can see my upcoming shifts. In this view, I am actually Darby or Zane or a manager. And so I can see that Stacy is trying to pick up for Erica. I can see that somebody is interested in picking up this extra shift. I can assign the shift to someone. I can approve a swap. Prosper integrates with MindBody, Mariana Tech, Club Ready, with a handful of others coming. If there's a system that you're using, we can integrate with nearly anything. Once you hit approve, it automatically goes back to your schedule of record. For an employee, it is this easy to pick up extra work. So I can see that Stacy's looking for coverage for the front desk. I can volunteer to pick it up. It matches the team, the location, all of the things that are taking your manager time to say, wait, can they actually work this shift? Do they work anywhere else? We'll make sure there's no conflicts. We'll make sure that it's the right kind of person for the right kind of class. Right? It is that easy to manage your subs. We do have this concept of actually asking your team to confirm that they have seen their schedule. And should I want to actually swap a shift, it is that easy for everybody. Some of the other really fun tools in Prosper are the idea of tasking. So I can start setting up actual checklists for my team. So here I am, great. I need to go check my Loyalsnap. Now, if you're running multiple studios, all you're going to do is see a list of all of your locations, the things you've asked them to do, and where they are in progress. So if I have 5 locations and I can see 4 of them are somewhere between 50 and 75% done, but one's at 0, I now know how to spend my time. But if I'm a new employee, day 1, I'm impactful. I'm as good as your oldest legacy employee because I'm being told exactly what it is I need to do. The heart of Prosper really, I think as everyone's mentioned though, is communication, right? So this idea that we can really reach our team, videos, photos, GIFs, everything lives here. We can even ask for employee e-sign. I can swipe on the computer, how fabulous, right? I can do surveys and polls. So I can really start to ask my team and reach them in ways that are going to be impactful to them. Right, they're used to learning in short snippets that are visually engaging. And so instead of giving them a wall of text in an email, that you have no idea who saw it, who didn't see it, right? Bulletins are going to give you not only the ability to reach everybody or different segments of your team, but really start to hold them accountable because you can see what day and time everybody saw what. One last tool that I think is one of my favorites. Darby, do you use broadcasts?
I do, yes.
Oh, what
Zane?
is this?
Yes, we use them quite a lot.
Broadcasts are my favorite. So if you have ever sent a giant group message to your employee team only for the reply thread to become absolute anarchy, this is BCC for chat. So you can send a message to your entire organization, specific working groups, specific locations, or create custom thread groups. They'll receive it privately and can respond privately. So it's one to many, many back to one. Some of the other things that I love in our chat, just very quickly, you can do surveys and polls, voice memos, schedule send, and we're very big on the GIF.
Of
right?
course.
So really finding ways to reach your team that are going to meet the demands of what they expect, right? If they can't @tag and GIF and emoji, they're going to revert back to WhatsApp or revert back to iOS chat because it doesn't have the robust tools that they need. Like rote work chat is just not going to cut it anymore. And so making sure Prosper is always really fun, I think really boosts engagement and keeps people there. And then the last thing that I'll show is ticketing. To Zane's point on the maintenance front, right? You can create custom ticket types. You can make them whatever it is that you want. They can be inventory requests. We see these used for retail, equipment, facilities. And then what's really nice is you can actually then create custom drop downs by type and say, okay, all broken equipment always goes to Bradley. And we have a broken weight rack. These are custom questions that we made. These can be whatever you want them to be, right? So if it's a retail ticket, if it's a hazard, yes, out of order has been placed. You can take photos, videos. So really what ends up happening is you give your team a way to see something, say something that you can actually action versus I used to get like random text going, this is wet. And that's all the text would say, right? Or something's broken and that's all it would say. And then it was 20 minutes going back and forth before we finally got to, well, what's wet? And in one of the cases, one of my salons was completely underwater. We were like, wow. 12 inches underwater. This is wet. Right? Wow. And so it's these sorts of things that make it so much faster to operate, faster to scale. When you take all of the guesswork out of running people teams and team communication, where you can A, hold people accountable, but B, right, there's no more, I think I feel something, or maybe this is in this place, or maybe this is in that place. Everything goes to one centralized location. And that means you're able to actually send out messaging and then move on with your day versus sending out messaging and going, okay, hey, did you get it? Did you see this? And spending the next 4 hours basically babysitting your communication because you have those read receipts, or ticketing and making everything just clearer, easier, simpler, and consolidated.
Awesome. Thank you for showing that, Erica. You know, I mean, for me, as I sit here and look at this, one of the things you mentioned, since we've got a lot of people here on Loyalsnap, is I am having to remind my front desk staff, hey, did you clear the entire dashboard? Did you make sure, you could just hit stop sharing, there we go. Did you make sure that you got to everyone in the inbox, right? Did you do this extra thing? So one of the beautiful things about Prosper is if it's a part of the daily regiment across any tool, I can put a task there and they know they've got to get it done. Zane, Darby, are you all kind of in the same boat?
Yep. I think with like the tool overall here, and to answer the question, obviously, to one of the people that were in the crowd before about, how is scaling and things applicable in this nature, and at a studio by studio level, to just give a quick rundown of it. Like, so in our business, we also run franchise locations of F45 for owners. So they actually come to us and we actually go in and take operational control of their business. And these are some of the things, like as soon as we go in and we analyze some of these locations, this is where the owners, like just on all of these little monotonous day-to-day tasks, that's where they're falling down. Like just by implementing like a simple system like this, it's actually allowing them to free up 30-40% of their time that they would spend on a day-to-day basis, so they can then focus on the things that are actually moving the needle of the studio or the location. And it's like these little systems, they're small, they're easy to use, but they get you to where you're going to. And if you do desire to be a multi-unit operator or whatever you're looking to do, we're also using Prosper at the moment and Loyalsnap, because we're opening up our first FS8, which is Darby, your realm, Pilates, the Pilates world. And we're in a full launch at the moment of that, which is setting up a brand new studio from scratch, build out everything. We've combined the two because obviously all of our pre-sale side is rolling through Loyalsnap, all of our automations, everything along that line. But we've then got all the task lists and everything built in through Prosper as well on that side. Who's doing this? When's the construction going? That all of that stuff is assigned to the people. So it has uses at any level, whether you're looking to open a studio from scratch. Having something like this from the get-go is going to make your life a million times easier, so that you can actually scale, or have one really, really successful studio and maybe step away as an absentee owner, or whether you want to sit there and grow and buy, or whatever path you're looking to do. So
awesome. Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. For people who have those aspirations to grow past one studio, or even someone like me that wants to maximize the studio that they do have. And sometimes I sit and I think, okay, I can't teach, I can't sell, I can't also negotiate with our, with our utilities people. But something like Prosper is going to allow you to replicate your really good habits because you've listed them out for everyone. They have an easy way to complete those things. So really quick, let's dig into what we have for you here today with Loyalsnap, because again, about 80% of people on this call are using the tool. And so we'll gut check some of our analysis with Zane and Darby here too. But let me share something that I think you all might think is quite interesting. Okay. So what you're seeing here is a bit of a report that we've done, because what you'll find as we go through the rest of 2026 is that we are going to step out and help you all with your content and with your copy. We have analyzed 80 million plus text messages, because at the end of the day, it's one thing to have something that helps you increase your speed to lead, right? Helps you become more efficient. But you might need some help figuring out what it is that you need to say in each of these messages.
For those old eyes in the back, can you just make this a teeny bit bigger?
Can we
but I
zoom
was
in?
also going to say we will send a copy of this to post calls. So I'm always the one on a Zoom that's be like, hey, can you guys make it bigger? So thanks for speaking up.
Did that do anything, Michelle?
It made it bigger, but now it's like not full screen, but it's all
Okay. Well, don't worry. We will send this exact screenshot out, and of course you'll get the recording. But essentially what we need people to start thinking about is, what is the reply rate to a message? We're starting to see in our data that if someone responds to one of your messages, the correlation of actually converting across any stage is much higher than if they do not reply. And I know in our gut that feels like duh. But think about for a second, what do some of these automated texts that you're sending out using Loyalsnap or something else actually look like? And would you reply to them if you received it in your inbox? Okay. Down here in the South, we call that like a come to Jesus meeting. And I had to have one of those with my staff because I was sending long paragraph messages saying how excited I am, sending them a link to get set up, asking them if they needed help to get scheduled, as if we don't stay on our phones all day and know how to do some of these things. So what is going to increase your reply rate? Asking questions, right? But not just those obvious questions that are going to make someone feel like, oh, Zane's trying to sell me on something. Oh, Darby, I've seen that before. You're trying to get me to get into the studio. No, client-centric questions, such as, maybe my favorite, have you ever taken a blank class before? Okay. This is the number one message that you should send upon someone entering in their information and giving you that first intent that they are interested in your studio. We've seen people go from a 3% response rate to their intro text message to someone like my studio, where we are now at a 60% response rate for a message like that. Really quick, let's get down here just a bit more, okay? We don't want to pressure them with getting scheduled immediately. We don't want to necessarily be telling them about the promotion right off the bat. And we for sure don't want our messages to be longer than a couple of sentences. All right. So today, what we want to make sure you're able to do, whether you're on your computer now or you're taking some notes or you're going to do this later, is we are actually going to change that first text message that goes out, a gift from us to you, with maybe the best message that you can send to get people replying. All right. So let's do this together. So what we're going to do here is we are going to switch on over to Loyalsnap. And now I need to decrease the size a little bit. So, again, I'm not the most organized person in the world. This is actually my account for Knuckle Up Boxing and Fitness in Raleigh, North Carolina. And like I said before, I've got a college freshman that works at the front desk a few hours per week. And we get a lot done. We do almost 30,000 a month. And it's really just he and I maintaining a lot of the admin stuff, like you all mentioned in the polls. So how do we change this first text message? Well, of course, we click into automations, okay? And I am more into the column view than the list view. And so once we get here, you should all have like a new leads, booking platform leads, newly interested, okay? And you're gonna click into account created text message. Excuse me. Now, here's the deal. Many of you are franchisees. Zane, Darby, I won't put this in any content afterwards, but let me ask you something. Based on your experience, sometimes you all know a little bit more of what will work for your studios than the franchisor. Yes or no?
Correct.
We need to blur their faces right
Yes.
now, but it's we'll alter your voice and blur your face and not share.
We'll blur the face for sure. Darby, did you agree?
Yeah, I really oversee almost all studio functions, so I am heavily involved in the day-to-day operations and really the fuel behind the machine. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal. You all may feel a bit of trepidation on changing this first message. But again, if you don't feel that you are getting the results that you want from all these leads you're working hard to get, this may be a worthwhile risk. And I can say personally that this message has transformed our show rates and our engagement rates for these leads that we're creating all these TikTok reels and Instagram or TikToks and Instagram reels for. So once you click into edit automation and you've picked the specific one, it is truly as simple as deleting that 5-sentence long message that you probably have that's going out, okay? And you can dress this up however you'd like. So here, I refer to the email that we send, okay? Because you all know we can send an automated email initially and that automated text. So we've decided that email as a medium is really great for information. Text message is a bit more colloquial. So we say, hey, I just sent you an email to schedule the complimentary class, ... But now that I think about it, have you ever even taken a boxing class before? And you may think, oh, this only works for boxing, but we've tested this with different stretch franchises, yoga, Pilates. We've tested it across multiple continents. And this first message has the highest response rate versus almost any other message that goes out first to someone. Okay. So again, you hear, but now that I think about it, have you ever taken a group boxing class before? It's that simple. For Darby, it may be, have you ever taken a group Pilates class before? For Zane, it may be, hey, have you ever done a group HIIT class before? It's truly that simple. Okay. Now, here's the deal. You may be thinking, all right, well, I need them to get scheduled. I need to get that in their face really quickly. But what I would argue is you want them to be able to tell them a little bit about their experience and what they are going to find valuable about you. So it doesn't feel like you're selling them anything, but eventually recommending what it is that they should be doing. How do we get to this? Well, it's simple. I'm giving you a bit of a cheat code here. This is like my dashboard. Okay. Take a look at this. Oh, and yes, what's new this month? We've got some things going on, right? All of you are here on Still the Systems at Scale, so that's great. But take a look. We've got this automated message that actually went out not too long ago. Okay. And this person says, hey, no, I have not. And it would not be for me. It would be for my sons. One is 9 years old, one is 6. Okay. Now, I told you I've got a college freshman that sits at the front desk that does this about 3 to 4 hours a day. And I used to be worried about the types of Gen Z slang that I would see in these text messages. And of course, like many of you, we can't hire people that have 20 years of sales experience to be at the front desk and respond to these messages. So the second thing I'd like you to do today, and if you're watching this later, great, take notes now, don't worry, you'll get the recording, is you need to learn about response templates. Response templates are one of the best cheat codes in the platform. If you are the best salesperson for your business, but you can't be there all day, you should use response templates to take the best parts of you so they can be scaled out and your team can send them when they recognize that one of these response templates are appropriate. So in this case, you'll notice that that college freshman, smart guy, he just had an econ test yesterday. He aced it. He sent back, a lot of our members were brand new to boxing too. What made you curious to check it out? Now, if this person had said yes, he also has a yes option. Okay, I love to hear that. What caught your eye about my particular gym? Once they have asked that question and now they've answered, they said why they're interested or what got them curious, then we are going to recommend what their next step should be, like a therapist. And we are seeing much higher results as a way, by way of this particular workflow. Now, if you've never done a response template before, it is simple. There are multiple ways to do it. You go into settings. You click into, I've got Zane over here in front of this. Let me move you, brother. Okay. You go into response templates, and it is as simple as clicking add text template, giving it a title. So here I may say no to first lead automation. And then here I'm going to write in what we just said. That's perfectly okay. Most of our clients hadn't boxed before either. What made you curious about that name of gym? Okay, name of client studio. And you'll notice no uppercase, right? All lowercase. Sometimes I might add an LOL, a ... We want to keep these text messages as colloquial as we possibly can. And then again, I would do the same thing here for yes and save this and say, oh, that's great. What caught your eye about our studio in particular?
Paul, there's a couple of things in the chat coming on, and I know that you are like...
Are you all back? Panel, do you all see each other? Theodore, you've been really active in the chat. Do you see everyone?
Your core, your shoulders.
Let us know the last thing you heard. There may have been a little blip in the internet, but that's okay.
Sometimes
See some people typing.
it's going to space and coming back, and I'm like, all right.
That is a real thing. Thank you, Erica. Oh, a couple things coming up in the chat. Okay. So like Michelle said, and maybe you didn't hear this, let me know if I'm repeating myself. Yes, keep it colloquial, right? You want to optimize for the responses. And yes, Leanne, it does seem impersonal. We did not acknowledge those kids specifically, but we did acknowledge that they have an intent, and we'd like to know what's behind the intent to make sure that we could be a good fit for them. And I don't think you all may have heard this, but the panel did. At the end of the day, we're not going to bat 100% with this framework, but we used to bat around 10%, and now we're above 50, right? So What's worked for us is getting our clients to respond to these messages and asking them what they feel their intentions are with us to make sure that we could be a good fit for them, not try to sell them or get them in a class immediately. And our response rates, our attendance rates, and our conversion rates have extremely increased over the last 6 months.
Paul, if I could also add something in here, we actually use our templates as well for either frequently asked questions or things that we run into quite often with either new leads or our members. So an example being freezes. If a member would like to freeze their membership, there are certain policies that we want to make sure that they're aware of as to how those actually go into place. We have them fill out a form for us, and so I've created a template for my sales associates to be able to send to someone in the event that they ask for that. That includes all of that information, and it's very easy to, in that case, it is a very cookie cutter response because it's here's the policies, here's how they apply, fill this out, we'll be in touch when we're able to process it. And that has really helped streamline a lot of those conversations that we see happening multiple times on any given day.
Yeah, golden rule. If you're consistently typing the same thing over and over again, save it as a response template, right? And you can actually, if you like type something in a client conversation, you can actually be like, ooh, that was good. And you can save it directly in that interface. You don't even have to exit to the settings. But I know that we're up on time, and Paul, I want to make sure that you have the ability to close it out as well as Erica, Zane, and Darby.
Well, one, we appreciate everyone for being here, especially you, Zane, and you, Darby, because you are literally running the studios as we speak. So thank you for taking the time. Erica, thank you for being here too and being a great partner to us here at Loyalsnap and having a great product that helps all of our studios.
We are happy to be here. We love working with everyone. We'd love to meet the Loyalsnap community. Check us out. Our website is prosper.work. I'll put it right here in the chat. And I will also throw my email here. Anyone who has questions and wants to deep dive or demo for themselves would be absolutely thrilled to meet you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Michelle and Paul.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
And
Bye-bye,
Lori, I'll
everyone.
answer your question on the side. Okay? Catch you later.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.